Welcome back. New home sales fell big time in October, posting the biggest monthly decline since February of 2021. What's quite remarkable about this is that they have a glut of houses for sale, the highest level since January of 2008. However, there's a lot more to this story, so let's discuss. This video is based on the US Census Bureau's brand new report just posted on November 26. It covers brand new single family houses for the month of October. So let's go ahead and dive right in. And of course, a friendly reminder, I've been making this video for years now. A sale as defined by the US Census Bureau, this is a new home construction, which in other words is a sale of a brand new house that's completed or a home under construction or a house that is actually just a dirt lot in which the builder is going to start building the house. So a sale is defined as a deposit taken or a sales agreement signed between a home builder and home buyer. And again, that could be a dirt lot, a home under construction, or a completed house. So this is really acting more like a pending home sale than an actual closed home sale that we see in the existing or resale market. In any case, take a look at this because this is pretty eye-opening here because sales for October came in at 610,000. That's a seasonally adjusted and annualized rate. So multiply the actual number of home sales in October by 12, do a seasonal adjustment, that'd be the total number of home sales over the next 12 months. So the pace of home sales at 610,000 was a huge miss because the forecast was calling for 725,000, came in well below that at 610,000. My take on this is that this decrease is due to an increase in mortgage rates that we saw more or less ever since late September. Additionally, the hurricanes that hit the South in late September and early October likely impacted overall home sales as well, which I'll share with you guys here in a little bit. Also, the pace of 610,000 home sales is also a one-year low. The lowest level since November last year. Back then, the pace was at 590,000. Also, check this out because I did some digging for you guys. I noticed here giant decrease down by 17.3%. What does that really mean, right? So based on my nerdy analysis, if I can get it to show, that's the biggest month-to-month decrease since February of 2021. Therefore, this is the biggest monthly decrease in more than 3.5 years. And keep in mind, these figures are seasonally adjusted, so you can compare different months to each other. And in my opinion, this decrease of 17.3% is due to really two factors. Due to the fact that mortgage rates increased in October, because keep in mind, these are all based on sales contracts being signed between buyers and home builders for the month of October, right? And so rates in October really impacted sales. But on top of that, we saw a huge decrease in home sales in the South. So for example, in the South, sales decreased by a whopping 27.7% compared to September and down by nearly 20% year over year. Let's discuss this because this massive decrease down by nearly 28% in one single month is pretty eye-opening. We saw a massive decrease, in my opinion, due to those hurricanes that hit the South in late September and early October. So for example, Hurricane Helene made landfall on September 26, and Hurricane Milton swept through Florida on October 9th. Buyers unlikely will want to place a deposit down when there have forced evacuations and of course a hurricane hitting in the region. Also, this is pretty important as well because 55% of all home sales on a national level came actually from the South. So because we saw a huge decrease in the South, down by double digits from 1 month ago and 1 year ago, this overall impacted the overall home sale activity for the nation. In contrast, in other areas that are not impacted by hurricanes, of course, that's the West, that fell by 9% compared to September and more or less flat from a year ago, down by 1.3%. In the Midwest and the Northeast, they both increase. In fact, the biggest increase by far is the Northeast, up by a whopping 53.3% month over month and up by 35% year over year. But again, these markets are very, very small compared to the overall sales numbers in the South and the West. So for example, the combination of the Northeast and the Midwest is approximately 1/3 of all home sales that occurred in the South. So big picture, what happens in the South and also to a lower extent in the West overall impacts the US numbers. Okay, let's move on and talk about inventory numbers because there's some very big changes here. 481,000 brand new single-family houses are for sale as of the end of October. Again, that could be a dirt lot, a home under construction, or a completed house. But we did see a big increase of completed houses that are still for sale, even though we saw a decrease in sales of completed houses. I'll share that with you guys in a little bit. Anyways, at 481,000, that is a small gain compared to last month, up by 2.1%. But this is the highest reading since January of 2008, also up by 8.8% year over year. In regards to the month supply, it went from 7.9 months to 9.5 months. A more balanced real estate market for brand new houses is around 5 to 6 months. So it's clearly a buyer's market based on this data at 9.5 months, up by a whopping 23.4% in one single month, and it rose by 20% year over year. Also at 9.5 months, that's the highest levels going back to October of 2022. All right, let's have a look at our good Uncle Fred looking at these numbers. So here's the number of home sales at 610,000, a little bit lower than November last year at 611,000, but at 610,000, that's the lowest level since November of 2022. At that time, we had 596,000. This is also way lower compared to the peak back in October of 2020. Back then, the pace was at 1,031,000. On top of that, 610,000 is also lower compared to pre-COVID levels. Back in 2019, we had around 700,000 sales. Now we're approaching or just under 611,000. On the supply side, we're at 481,000 brand new single-family houses that are for sale. That's the highest levels going all the way back until January of 2008. Back then, it was at 487,000. When I zoom in over the past 5 years, this is also way higher compared to pre-COVID. Back in October 2019, there was only 320,000 houses for sale. Now there's approximately 160,000 more than that at 481,000. In regards to the month supply, we're at 9.5 months. That's the highest levels since October of 2022. Additionally, that's nearly twice as high compared to the 5.3 months we saw back in October of 2019. All right, let's change gears slightly here and talk about home prices based on the median sold price, again, based on a contract being signed. 1 year ago, we're at $417,500. That's $417,500. Now we're at $437,300. That's an increase of 5% year over year. But again, like I mentioned in previous videos, the median sale price tends to fluctuate quite a bit for brand new home construction due to the mix in sales, but also due to a relatively low level of sales compared to the resale market of existing houses. So for example, the actual number of home sales in October, not seasonally adjusted and not annualized, was only 45,000. Compare that to the resale market for October, there was a whopping 348,000 houses that sold. Here's something that really caught my attention as well, looking at the number of home sales by stage of construction and also looking at the number of houses for sale by stage of construction as well. So again, for October, there was 610,000 total, right? So the vast majority of houses that sold were houses that were completed at 287,000. However, that was a big decrease compared to last month. Last month, they were at 347,000. This represents approximately a half of all houses that sold for the month, but again, a big decrease compared to September, even though the number of houses for sale that were completed actually increased. Let's talk about that. So houses that sold decreased big time compared to September that were completed, but looking at houses actually for sale, completed houses, 113,000, an increase compared to last month. It has been increasing virtually all year as well. Also, at 113,000, this is approximately a 15-year high. Hasn't been this high since August of 2009. Looking at a good Uncle Fred, in August of 2009, there was 118,000 completed houses for sale. Now there's 113,000. I mean, way higher compared to the record lows we saw back in 2021 at around, or 2022 at around 32,000 houses for sale. Also, this is way higher compared to pre-COVID. So for example, October 2019, only 77,000. Now there's over 100,000. This is also way higher compared to the run-up of the Great Recession. Around then, we had around 80,000 completed houses for sale. Of course, that was a lot of information to digest, so I want to provide a summary and also kind of like my take regarding what's happening in this report. So summarizing, home buying demand continues to move with fluctuations in mortgage rates. So for example, in September, new home sales rose to a 1.5-year high as mortgage rates fell in early to mid-September, down to about a 1.5-year low. Of course, that all changed in late September through October though. So signed purchase contracts, in other words, sales as defined by the U.S. Census Bureau, tanked in October as rates rose to above 7% once again. Also, the significant decrease in the South from the hurricanes that hit that region in late September and early October obviously impacted sales overall as well. So looking forward here, what will be really telling is looking at November's numbers, because in November, we still had 7% rates, but of course, no hurricanes that hit the South. So looking at is the housing market kind of slowing down big time because of 7% mortgage rates? Time will tell, and I'll definitely keep posted once they announce November's numbers. Also, as of October, supply is at its highest level since January of 2008, yet sales decreased to a 2-year low. Again, November will be very telling. Please subscribe. I'll definitely keep you posted with latest developments. Have an amazing day. I appreciate you. And of course, happy Thanksgiving.